Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my very beautiful and fast-growing Monstera Sierrana or Sierrana, whichever way you want to pronounce it. This one I got at the end of July this year, so about 22 weeks have passed. Some quick information: I've read this plant can put out a leaf about every 3 weeks, and that's exactly what it's done for me. It has put out 7 leaves in 22 weeks, so it's about 3 weeks per leaf. So this is a very fast-growing Monstera. Now there's a couple things that I want to do to this. It needs to be upsized into a larger pot, as it's still in the original nursery pot. This plant is also about to reach the top of the plank. I do have one more extension piece, but I also want to propagate it by the air layering method, so let's check it out. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah. Okay, well, I gotta start a cleanup here. Hopefully nothing snapped. I have to find a new pot. This thing is really top heavy. I just had it in, oh my goodness, I just had it in this terracotta pot just so I could set it up. It looks undamaged. Okay, well, that was some action at the start. Okay, well, let's now get started. I got to clean up here first. Okay, well, that was fun. I had to go outside and find another replacement pot. I have a few pots just sitting on my deck right now. I got to rinse this one off and I got to run it under some hot water because I definitely don't want a cold frozen pot to shock the roots. I'm just going to use my water-grown Thai constellation as an example plant. There's a couple things I want to show just to compare to the Sierrana. Now this one, you can see the internodes, they're very short. The area in between the nodes, it's very minimal. So you can see, these leaves are overlapping. And then on the back, the petiole sheath, so what that is when a new leaf forms, it'll come out the side of a leaf. And you can see the petiole, it's fairly long. Here's the end, this little lip right here, that is the end of the petiole sheath. Now you can see the next new one. So the leaves are obviously alternating. So it's gone to this one, it's put out this one. The next leaf is going to be on this side. And you can see right there, that little line is the top of the petiole sheath. So a new leaf will emerge from that. But you can see just how much more petiole there is in comparison to the sheath. Now I'm just leaning this up against the pot, so hopefully it doesn't fall over again. But just in comparison, you can see how long these internodes are. So here's a node up there, there's one down here. You have this large area in between nodes. So this is a common characteristic of the Sierrana. Now I'm going to bring it down a little bit, but I just want to show you the petiole sheath. I guess I could show it right here. So here is a petiole. The end of the sheath comes all the way, it's like 3/4 of the way up the petiole. So this whole area is the petiole sheath, and then it stops right here, and then there is just a short kind of extension piece. So again, this is another characteristic of the Sierrana, is the longer petiole sheath. A key feature for these leaves is that it has a minimal lobe area. So these, it's not flat across, but they're definitely not as prominent as a regular Monstera deliciosa. And again, in comparison to the Thai constellation, you can see how deep these lobes go before it attaches to the midrib here, as well as the petiole. So you can see the difference between the two. Now, as I'm looking at the leaf really closely, I'm seeing signs that this might have spider mites. Like this type of yellowing, that's pretty consistent with spider mites. Same with down there. I do have kind of a minor thrip issue as well. You can see there's just some small little dots kind of throughout the plant. It almost looks like dust. It's definitely not thrips, but even up here, you can see there's a little bit of damage. I'm just gonna give this a quick spray down. I have been treating it with an insecticidal soap, but I'm just gonna quickly spray it down with some water. Prior to filming today, it was actually attached to the wood plank here. You can see, if I get a little bit closer, the outline of where the aerial root latched on. So it has become detached. You can see up here as well, there's a couple areas where it was attached to the wood plank there. It's not a complete loss because I said I wanted to air layer this. So I was going to do it maybe a little bit lower in the stem here, just because I didn't want to detach the top. Whenever you detach a plant that is growing vertically, it tends to get smaller leaves afterwards, just because right now it's feeling safe and secure. It's growing up vertically, and with each new leaf it gets larger. So now that it's detached, it's probably going to maybe downsize or get smaller leaves, but I do want to air layer it, so I might actually do it a little bit higher, like maybe somewhere up in here. Actually, this would probably be a good spot right there, just close to the top there, so that I can put it back in the pot lower, and it can continue to grow vertically, getting larger leaves with these beautiful fenestrations. I just laid it down because I want to take the plant out of the pot here. I'm really curious as to what the roots look like, because this is the original pot, and it's just a little 6-inch nursery pot. So, okay, perfect time to repot, because it's not completely root bound yet, but it's definitely not far off, that's for sure. And I don't want to start losing, well, I was going to say these lower leaves, but look at how it started out. This tiny little leaf. The next one, it's crazy how quickly these size up. These were the original ones, and then up here is my first fenestrated leaf. So, okay, I'm gonna go grab the other pot. I'm gonna fill it up with some soil, and then I'll put it in the new terracotta pot. That should add some weight, so it doesn't fall over like it did before. I am going to be covering the drain hole with some drywall tape. I just have some extra stuff on hand. The nice thing about this is it's actually sticky on the backside, so I'm just going to cover the drain hole like that, and then I can put the aeroid mix right in the pot, and it's not going to fall out. Whoops, whoopsies, my little mesh thing fell out. Now the aeroid mix is not going to fall out of the pot. I'm just going to put a little bit of this junk mix. It's an aeroid mix. It's from other projects, and I just use kind of the excess, or I just place the excess in this container. So I'm just going to put a little bit at the bottom here, like this, and then I'm going to size up the plant. I'm going to place it a little bit more straight like this, so the plant is right at the back. It was leaning quite heavily back last time, so I don't want it to fall over or anything like that. So something like that, and I'm just going to add mix around the edges here. And I'm going to start with the back, so I'm just going to hold it like this, and I'm just going to dump in a bunch of this mix. There's a little bit of sphagnum moss in there as well. I'm not too worried about it. Just like that, just so it stays upright and it's not going to fall over. I just realized it might be a little bit too deep, so I'm just going to dump in some soil, brush it around, and then just kind of wiggle the pot or wiggle the plant up just so it's a little bit higher in the pot. I think that looks pretty good like that. So the plank is pretty much nice and straight vertically. It's in the center of the pot. I did add just another kind of little support stick at the back. It's pushed down, it's all packed down. So everything looks pretty stable. I don't think it's going to be falling over anytime soon, but I probably shouldn't have said that because it's probably going to fall over at some point. I do have these air layering containers where you could put moss on either side and then you can sandwich the stem, but there is a fairly long aerial root that I want in the moss. I don't want to cut it or anything like that, so I think I'm going to be using this Ziploc bag. Now, in order to get it around the stem, I'm just going to cut it down the seam. I'm going to fill it with some sphagnum moss here in a minute, but this will allow me to get it around the stem. That way I can put that aerial root in its entirety in the bag here. So it's going to sort of sandwich the stem. I can tape it or whatever, you can staple it, and then I'll add in the sphagnum moss. I finished placing the bag of sphagnum moss on the plant here. It was a lot easier to do it when I wasn't filming because my hands and arms and stuff would have been in the way, but I used the sphagnum moss. I just kind of squeezed it until it wasn't dripping anymore. I did add staples kind of along the entire side and bottom of the bag. I did add sphagnum moss more at the back of the plant. You want to entice those aerial roots that are on the back of the stem. I'm just going to come around to this side here as well, just like that longer kind of big one that was on this side. So that's what I want to root in the sphagnum moss. Now, if you are unfamiliar with air layering, basically the process is you grow roots on the plant while it's still attached, like you don't cut it or anything like that. It'll develop a root system before you make the cut or the propagation. Once it has a sufficient root system, you can make the cut and then just place it in its own separate pot or whatever it is that you have planned. So I'm just going to ziplock the top portion here just to kind of lock in all the moisture. You definitely don't want it drying out too fast. That's the whole basis of air layering, is to get those roots to grow into the nice moist moss. So I'm just going to close that up like that. I might actually even add a staple in there. I just want to have a spot wide enough that I can add water in. So I'm just going to add a staple like that, just so it doesn't open. I can add some water through there. And I did cut the end of the bag here to kind of act as a little drain hole, just so water doesn't sit in the bag. So this is the air layering method. Now just have to wait till it grows some roots, and then I can do a chop and prop. And right now this is where I keep the plant. It's in front of a Barena T10 vertical grow light, just kind of in this little corner here. So I do have some other varieties of Monstera, but as you can see, this one has just like exploded. Well, this turned out to be kind of a crazy video, but I hope you found it informative. I hope you liked the video. My 3D print is also completed, so now I have a spot for pencils. I just realized I probably should have made it a little bit taller, but this is just version 1. So I think that's gonna be pretty much it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching all my videos. Take care, everyone.